That's what I like to hear. See, when the time comes, and you know when the time comes, I want you to remember this little talk. I want you to remember what we've done and what we can still do together. Hey everybody, my name is Ben, and we're going to talk about The Walking Dead tonight. I got Joe.
With a name like Smuckers, it has to be good. I don't know why, I just kind of wanted to do that for some reason. Good evening.
You know they used a lot of Smuckers for blood in the show Walking Dead, right?
Smuckers, I think so.
That's right.
It's kind of like a go-to, for some squidgy Smuckers. And then you just put it on your sandwich.
Because it looks real that way. It's really like gelatin coming out.
You see a bunch of like zombie extras like getting up and like, that's okay, take 5, and they're just like, give me that bread. You got other people over there just. Speaking of vomiting, there's some vomiting in this episode. We'll get to that.
Oh my gosh, this episode I like to call the starting over episode, because Carl tells both Rick and Negan wants to start over, that they should be looking into starting over. He's kind of the voice of reason in this, even though he's dead, and I love it. Yeah. I did find this beginning opening shot really very emotional. Like, I mean, I felt like in general, we've discussed this before, is that like we didn't get a whole lot of mourning for Carl, and I mean, a lot of people out there, don't think he had that much impact on the show, but I think he really did. I think he impacted the show immensely, and I always loved the character, and hearing him read this letter was really great to see.
Well, I think all the major characters that have come and gone definitely have an impact, but he just kind of has a residual impact just because of these letters that he wrote, which, it started off in a nice emotional journey before descending into some kind of weirdness. This episode is the leading up to the finale, and there's just some odd things that happened in this episode for me.
Yeah, it definitely took some weird turns. I had a note here that I was thinking, and of course he basically through his through his letters that he wrote for everybody, saying that basically telling both Rick and Negan to start over. You should be starting over. So anyway, and it would just be an interesting concept to be realizing that you're going to die, and so you're going to write everybody these letters telling them to start over because you're going to start over. So anyway, I could see that. So mentioning the Friday night pizza and all that stuff, summer barbecues and everything. One of the things that I thought was really cool that he pointed out is that he had initially thought of growing up is just doing, getting a car, doing this, doing that, just doing things. But instead, he found that it was just growing up as making yourself and people that you love safe. Things, anyway. Just I found a lot of insight in that. It was just really cool to see that, and he wanted his dad to feel safe. He goes on to saying, I wanted you to feel safe. If there's anything I could give to you, Dad, it's to make you feel safe. And it's like son wanting to make his father feel safe. It was just great. It's really emotional stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it got me all.
And hearing Carl reading the letter too, like in his voice while Rick's reading it, and hearing Carl's voice, that was a nice touch. And then things get kind of a little interesting with Simon and Gregory. Yeah. I'm not a fan of Gregory, that guy. But he's the type of guy you like to hate, right? They kind of like that people just kind of smack him around, and because he's the type of guy that, he's just a selfish character. He's played perfectly. Simon just kind of takes him out. So that was funny to me.
I should do this scene was really funny to me. They're talking about juice. He's like, what does he say? He's like, I have the juice. No, he's like, first like Simon saying, I have this, I have that, I have the juice. Now I'm the guy and I have the juice. Blah, blah, blah. He comes around and says, I am the juice. So, but my favorite line in this scene is, ergo, you go.
Yeah. And then Simon just takes him out with one punch, which that's all it would take with Gregory. It's just one smack in the mouth. But and then
there is a weird charm that I do actually like Gregory. I don't know, in a weird way. It's like, once again, we said before about the show, your expectations are subverted, of course, but most importantly, your at least my loyalties shift constantly on this show. At least not constantly, but a lot. I find myself, at the end of this episode, I actually felt a little sorry for Simon. And anyway, anyway.
Yeah, my loyalties don't shift quite that often. I pretty much stick with the main crew, and if anybody goes against them, I kind of feel like, well, you made a mistake because Rick and his guys are pretty much going to kill you, and you probably deserve it.
Forgive me. I'm not saying my loyalties shift. I'm just saying that I can't help but feel something for the villain who's about to die, because that's what I mean by at some point. You still. I mean, there's still a human element to that, so I don't know.
The thing for me with Gregory is I feel no sympathy for him. Like, I enjoy his performance, I enjoy his character because he's that type of character, again, that you like to hate. It's a tradition that's as old as television. Like, everybody loved to hate J.R. Ewing on Dallas. I was too young to care, but I know he got shot. But anyways, so like Gregory, I have no sympathy for. I just get a kick out of how weaselly and manipulative he is, and I like to see whether people buy it or people don't, throw it back in his face. And Simon, I also had no sympathy for. Everything that happened to him in this episode, it was like a slow golf clap for me. It was like, yes.
The whole thing, the whole episode.
This is what should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah. That's
Dwight, on the other hand, I do have sympathies for because he's not quite. He turned out to be not quite what he appeared to be at the beginning of last season when he was holding Daryl in that cell and everything, and he's become quite a sympathetic character. He's, in a lot of ways, he's redeemed. I wouldn't say he's redeemed himself for every action that he's done, but he's definitely proven that he could be a valuable ally. So I think when you have characters like that, it's easy to go, okay, yeah. I kind of like this guy.
Yeah.
And other times, like with Gregory and Simon, it's like I like their performances. I get a kick out of it, but I also get a kick at yelling at the TV too, going, "Just shoot him! Just will you kill the guy? You know."
Yeah. So this is that scene where I have that juice. That's me. I have that. Ergo, you go. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people probably skimmed over this, but I love that moment. It was so hilarious. I'm glad that he's doing okay. He's off by himself somewhere here, and like I barely remember how he got here, but
because he wants to die, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he's missing his boyfriend there. So
yeah, they weren't married, were they? Yeah, it was just his boyfriend.
I'm not sure if they. I don't know. I can't remember.
And it just I've kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah, it kind of came right back, and yeah, it's amazing how so many different threads are in this show, and all.
His name is Aaron, played by Ross Marquand. Of course, I knew that.
We all knew that. We were just checking to make sure you guys knew that. This is a funny moment, of course. For some reason, he has to have his college brew that he had put together with sardines and garlic. But yeah, this just shows, and he just
spoiled fat rat bastard. Sorry.
He is becoming that, isn't he? Like, there. Once again, we talked about this. You have sympathy for him at points, but not anymore. At this point, he's just like. He's hanging out with these two beautiful women, and he's just like...
I think Eugene's actually shown who he really is, who he's been this whole time. He's really only ever been out for himself. He doesn't care. Nobody means anything to him. They just serve a purpose, and that's for his survival. And of course, he's going to be happy with the people that feed his ego and feed him with food and all the things that he's the creature comforts, as opposed to what they would, at the hilltop, Rick and those guys, they'd put him to work. You'd be, not that he isn't working for Negan, but I mean, it wouldn't be quite with the creature comforts, and he has no loyalties, man. And when he tries to shift those loyalties and talk his way out of it,
he's
just weaselly, and I don't like him anymore.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of this, but I just had to think about writing his dialogue. Really makes me think that you would have it would probably take the most time to think about what he would have to say.
He speaks very meticulous, but then again, so is Ezekiel.
Yeah.
And
those
the
are
thing
two.
is we know that Eugene. This is just how Eugene talks. But Ezekiel is kind of even more interesting because it's King Ezekiel as a character, and we've heard that actor use a normal dialect, his normal way of talking, and then he switches over into this regal, kingly like speech. So I think that's interesting too, because those two characters probably have to be. Because let's face it, writing dialogue for Negan and Rick can't be too hard.
Yeah.
Negan just has a bunch of smarmy one-liners, and Rick doesn't say a whole lot. So, writing those two characters would probably be the most complicated, Ezekiel and Eugene, because of the way that they talk. And I do like the way that they talk. I like their dialogue.
I did too. I was actually really happy to see King Ezekiel come back. I really was, because I seeing him falter and feel like, oh, I'm really nothing, and have that guy convince him that he was anyway. This whole thing with how Gabriel's now here, still making bullets for him. This is these are just funny lines. Like, what does he call cryptococcus? is therefore airborne. He's talking about it. His something that he's developed in his lung, of course. Do you remember how that happened? I don't remember how that happened.
I don't.
So this is the line that makes me just lose. Yeah, I don't have any loyalty for Eugene anymore at all.
Yeah.
And try not to cry too loud, he says to Gabriel.
He upsets Gabriel. Gabriel's already gone through a huge emotional thing. He feels like his faith is being put to the extreme, and that's interesting. I'm not a particularly religious person myself. What a surprise. But I think it's always interesting to have characters that are in these situations where most people would go, yeah, there's no God, zombies, hello, and he's going, no, this is just testing our faith. And I like his little breakdown moment. And Eugene's reaction, again, it just really defined who I think the Eugene character is, and who he's always been, and who he's been becoming. So, yeah,
he really is almost bipolar, because there are moments where, like right here, for the very next scene, he explodes with fear.
Yeah.
He really does in this scene. It's like it's literally night and day. He's this I'm the boss. In a split second, he is just.
Well, but in a split second, he maintains this small amount of power, and so he's using it. I'm a big man on campus. I'm in charge of this little depot, this chicken poop operation. And then in a moment, it changes like that, and he gets abducted, and suddenly he's about ready to do a little crying himself, and then he starts having to try and talk his way out of it.
Once again, talking his way out, yeah. Rosito?
Yeah. So the way that they're like, we want to keep you alive, but at the same time, he just keeps talking and pissing them off, and then they're just finally if you see it, they both threaten him and call him out for what he is.
They take turns having a weapon to his head.
Yeah. And but it's the way Rosita does it that's the best. She really hammers it in what they really think of him now and what he really is. And then even when he gets that moment where he slips away from them, using the clever ploy of vomit. You throw up on somebody. That's what I do when I get cornered, like at a bar or something. Say, you accidentally piss off some guy and you can't talk your way out of it, and he's gonna pick a fight with you. I just vomit on him. It's kind of like a little raptor, and then it's like making myself look big, and so you just vomit right on him, then you run away. That's how you do it. And then I love how right after that, Rosita's like, yeah, if you see him, shoot him in the face. They're done. They're not even going to try and keep him alive anymore. It's like, that's the final straw.
They're just like, if he's going to get away, he's a goner,
Remember, Negan said, he wasn't going to make his presence known just yet, keep it under wraps.
Okay.
Because he was pissed at Simon for what he did to the garbage people.
Okay.
And
that fixes
and
it.
At that point, he didn't know about Dwight either. It was when he picks up the girl. That's when he finds out about Dwight.
And that makes me wonder specifically, at what point did he find out about Dwight? At what point did what's her name come back?
So remember in the last episode, Negan's driving in the car and he pulls over and he's like, "Well, I'll be."
That's who it was.
Get in, and you're like, who could he possibly be talking to? What character would be like that kind of a reaction?
I was wondering who that was, and I thank you, because it's it's all you get to see is from their point of view. That's a really cool tactic.
So I'm sure the moment she got in the car, it's like, boy, have I got something to tell you, And so from that point, Dwight's formulating, Negan is formulating how he's going to handle Simon and how he's going to handle Dwight. And I think his original attitude was he's going to kill both. And he kill Simon. But we'll get to that.
So I don't know if you noticed this, but there's seemed to be a lot. Like the whistling came back a lot in this episode.
Yeah,
we hadn't heard the whistling for a long time.
Silly whistle.
It's been a while.
I think it would have been more intimidating if it was like, something from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or something. But I don't know. Again, it's one of the things about Negan that gets on my nerves because it is that comic booky Machiavellian. Like he just shows up with the twirl of a mustache and ends on an exclamation point. It's like, why do you have to do the whistle? Can't you just come in and just, talk endlessly with the things that you're going to say that are just silly to me?
So you weren't a fan of when he comes anyway.
No.
We're going to get to that in a second. But I just have to say real quick how much of a fan I am of Dwight. Every time he is in the screen, I am...
I've become really sympathetic.
And seeing this episode makes me fear for him. I hope that he makes it out of this. I really hope he doesn't die. I honestly, anyway, I really feel every second that we get to spend with him and his feeling, you see it all over his. It's literally written on his face because of the burn, but more so just in the acting. I think the guy is awesome, and I hope to see him in more stuff after this. But he's awesome.
Well, I think his arc mainly is that he knows that he can't get away from Negan. He can't just up and leave.
Right.
And I still am kind of confused by that. I mean, do the Saviors control like every way out of Atlanta? Like nobody's like, let's go to Utah, or you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, let's go to the coast, find a boat, and get the hell out of here. But I digress. It is what it is, but I feel like...
Probably because they think that they'll come after him, or I don't know.
Which I don't think Negan has the means to send anybody to, Alaska to find somebody that ran away from him that isn't going to come back and do anything. They just want to be out. And that's all Dwight wants, really. And the only reason why he supports Rick is because he realizes, and he's known, I'm pretty sure from the time his wife was stolen from him and his face was burned, Negan's not a nice guy. So I think that his main arc of just wanting to get out and find his wife and having Rick kill Negan so that he's not worried about being able to do that, I hope he gets that ending to his story, even if he's not in the next season, just to know that he helps take down the Saviors, and it's just like, all right, I did my thing, I'm out, Daryl don't kill me, I'm gonna go see about a woman, that would make me happy.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because seeing after this episode, actually with the map and everything, it's like he sent on the map. He sent on the fake plans.
Yeah.
It's gonna make you literally think that Daryl's gonna kill Dwight, and it's gonna be like, and it's gonna be sad. I don't know. I mean,
I try not to speculate too much, but I'm hoping that somehow they're either gonna get the word to him that's a trap. It's a trap. In fact, they should just have like a zombie Admiral Akbar there. Just it's a trap. Your taste buds can't repel flavor of this magnitude, but sorry, but either that or yes, it's going to be one of those things where they show up, they're ambushed, it ends on one of those cliffhangers where you're like, great, 9 more months not knowing what happened next. Television, and I really feel like if that's the case, then everyone at the Hilltop is going to think Dwight betrayed them. And has been betraying him the whole time, and they are going to kill him. And I don't want that to happen. He's worked so hard. But in a show like this, it could happen. Just to quote Judy Tenuta there, it could happen. So,
So once again, I like to call this episode the espionage on the Saviors. There's so much going on here, and like half the time there were times where I was speculating that you got Simon and you got Negan. And I feel like they're both times that he's dealing with Simon and Negan here. I feel like I thought the whole thing with Simon and rising up against the Negan thing, I thought that was like Simon trying to set Dwight up.
Right.
Like and that's where we got turned around. But anyway, this was the crazy thing here.
I got that feeling up until in the last episode. I realized that Simon really is. He's made his power play. Like, okay, that makes sense. He's kind of... I think if you go back and rewatch, you see that Simon's kind of wanted to be the man.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the juice.
Yeah.
For a while. So it's kind of interesting how it's all come together, methinks.
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, I want you to remember what we've done and what we can still do together. So, anyway, this to me, is foreshadowing the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree.
I absolutely caught that when they show it. And eventually Simon kind of makes it on the wall of shame. And I thought that was really interesting.
That was extremely surprising to me, but I hadn't realized it until I went through a second time that, the foreshadowing there was actually really, really kind of a cool thing. And this scene right here threw me. I thought Simon was gone. I thought for sure he was gone.
It had a Brian De Palma Untouchables moment feel to it. I really thought we were going to get baseball bat to the back of the head here, as Negan's kind of calling Simon out. Simon's like, I made these mistakes and I own that. And it's on me. And Negan's like, I'm going to need you on your knees. And he's walking behind him with Lucille, and you think, great, here's that famous, Al Capone, Robert De Niro Al Capone headbat scene in The Untouchables, and it really took me for a loop.
I love it how he says, you're going to make a move, or is that it, And then
I got no moves.
There's really nothing to do. And that was just, I found it bizarre that, he's just like, all is forgiven. So that was kind of interesting. So,
and it's at that point where he said all is forgiven that I kind of figured he's setting Simon up. Like, he's not just gonna just kill him like that. He's gonna make a point of it to everyone else because he was essentially his right hand man, And so I think he and at that point it's hard to say. Had Dwight told Negan about what Simon was doing or what's been going on? We don't know. At what point, because we don't know at what point Dwight basically sold Simon out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Which I'm kind of, it's the lesser of two evils. It's which is worse, Negan or Simon? Well, I think Negan is a character that can be reasoned with a bit more. I mean, Simon's just.
I think one of those funny things about this is that if Simon did and Negan dies and Simon does take over, it's like, yes, somehow Simon will be worse. But and it's just like he would have the perfect chance to say, you know what, enough of this. I'm gonna be the leader and everything, but enough of this. I'm Negan crap or whatever.
But he wouldn't.
But he would just continue it on. That's the weird, strange.
And then the saviors would be killed a lot quicker, and it'd be the end of that storyline a lot quicker. But we all know that doesn't happen that way. It can't be that simple.
And this is what Simon says regarding the plan, the fake plan. It's an ambitious plan with testicular heft.
I caught that line and thought, that's a pretty good line. I'm going to have to remember to use that. I'm sure somebody got a kick out of that in the writing room, right? Testicular heft. Nobody uses that. It's like describing a garbage bag. It's got testicular heft, and that's not good. Now I got to go see a doctor. So... I thought that was a clever line.
So again, we're back here with Eugene trying to plead his case.
Yep.
The reason I'm being taken alive is despite, Anyway, this we just had this discussion about it. Of course, we got they both take turns basically saying, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kill you. And then we're gonna come to that in a second. But there's still this back and forth between. Simon and Dwight here, and do what we need to do, talking about, of course, rising up against Negan, etc.
Yeah.
That was, once again, this is where I thought he was setting Dwight up. I thought for sure.
Instead, it was reverse. It was Dwight setting Simon up, or maybe Dwight was just. I think playing both sides, just trying to survive and get through this thing.
Yeah, and I think, Anyway. So this was a surprising moment.
That did make me laugh.
This is we're gonna move it to the side so people can see. Just pretty funny moment there. So,
of course, I gotta tell you, I know people who can do that. Who can make themselves vomit like super quick. If it was me, I would. Don't look over here. I'm not doing anything. Okay, I'm gonna need you to move close now because I got. And it wouldn't be quite like. Dude, he shot out like an entire, everything in his stomach in 48 hours just came out in one hurl, man. I tell you.
I have always been terrified of vomiting, and because it sucks. Vomiting does suck.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody out there who's like. I don't think anybody out there is like, dude, I love to vomit. It's it's like sneezing. I mean, it's less tolerable than sneezing, but it's one of those things you do involuntarily, and then you're like, that sucked. I don't want to do that again.
It's extremely painful. Your whole body, it's painful. So this was funny, and just being able to just jump right out of there.
Yeah, it's at this point. I think we were talking a little bit earlier. It's at this point a little bit of credibility kind of ran out for me. So Eugene escapes because the vomit is a big enough distraction, apparently. That he hides in this ash. It looks like ash of people who've been burned. And they kind of, Rosita and Daryl they just go to the back there and they're just like, it can't be here. Let's move on to the next area. They don't even really search it. And I'm thinking, dude, where his footprints just disappear. Like, they go, like.
Yeah, that was one of those things that I thought for sure. But this is he really has a proud moment right here. He looks really proud.
Well, and he completely managed to cover himself up. Like, how would you really? Have you ever tried hiding in a dirt mound? It's not quite that easy. So
I thought for sure that they were going to, because he's walking through the ash, that they were going to use the footprints from the ash, etc. Yeah. So anyway, but that's props to him for being able to hide so quickly.
In the next scene, he just kind of shows up right back at the outpost or whatever. That scene was intense.
This was great. Moment. Yeah, this is probably the most underrated scene of the whole episode, I think. And just seeing him go and have to literally just it's like he's ready to keep going. He's ready to keep going.
He comes down, he drinks some of that water, and he's ready to fight again. And then suddenly, just zombies out of nowhere, and he really doesn't have any weapons. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. So it becomes a nice struggle. Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, it was great. I had to get a shot of this. He just falls right back.
Yeah.
And just lets it. He's like, I'm done killing zombies. I'm gonna take a bath in this mud.
Yeah. And then the next time we see him is that where we're at next. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah.
Now, which group is this again? I know who they are, but I forget their names.
I don't remember the names.
But it's like the group that's all like women that are hiding out by the coastline.
Escaped from Negan, I guess. They escaped the Saviors.
Yeah. And they're not really trusting of any of the other groups. They don't want to work with Rick. They obviously don't want to work with Negan. There's been some bad blood between them and the Hilltop, as well as the Saviors. And so here they find Aaron, and he gives them this really good speech about fighting back. It's like he's found his inner strength.
You hide, you don't trust. You don't live the way that you want to because of them. They hurt you. They are going to keep hurting you unless you do one thing, and that's fight. That was a great
line. The only way it could have gotten better is if it was done in a Rick Astley style, like, never gonna give you up, never gonna, you know what I mean? Like, that would have been great. You hide, you don't trust, that kind of a thing. Some like really terrible 1987-ish housey, generic housey beat. That would have been great, but it probably would have changed the mood of the entire episode. But I think
just a little bit.
But I think for Mr. Marquand's performance there, it was very compelling. So good for him. He had a moment to shine, because it's an ensemble piece, and there's a lot of characters that you don't see, that don't get a lot of screen time and a lot of moments to emote emotion. So for me, that was a good moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Never gonna give.
So this was just a kind of a side note, because they do just something that we passed up, but we didn't get a chance to come back. Negan and Simon are talking about Jadis. She's the junk people person, and how he does address this in this episode. They address it and how Simon totally killed all of them. He just kind of gave props. He was just pointing out how awful it was. It just a real quick side note. That whole scene with Jadis taking Negan there, that was pretty. Episode? I mean, it's like because it's like I was so surprised that she didn't kill him, but it's like he turned on the charm. He somehow turned on the charm and just was like, all of a sudden he's just like he's able to manipulate people in such a way, and he turns on the charm and he turns on his caring face, and he's just this guy who's like deeply empathetic with her.
Yeah, anyway. And I do think it's kind of cool in the 2 episodes prior to this that we got to see, the 2 episodes that had Negan in them, fighting Rick and being captured by Jadis, that we got to see We got to see Negan eat a little bit of crow and kind of not be able to be such a smart ass because he was in some dire trouble. But what I want to bring up, what's up with the helicopter that showed up?
Oh, that's right.
Was for with the flare. And Negan asked her what that was about too, and we get nothing.
And it was in a previous episode, like I think an entire season or two back. There was a helicopter also. Yeah, and they just keep on. I mean, I'm sure it's probably some, remnants of the military or something. I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know.
As opposed to just survivors, because then it's like, where's this going?
Yeah.
Why haven't we seen more of that? Have these people been watching the whole time?
There's all kinds of things that can open up from this. It's like, well, that's what they are doing that in Fear the Walking Dead. In case any of you guys watched that, I actually was thoroughly impressed with season 3 and 2. It really picks up in season 3. Really, really good. I'm blown away. There's a moment, dude. There is a moment in with Fear the Walking Dead where Ben, he finds himself on a boat and he somehow is communicating with a Russian astronaut. It's and they're having a drink together and singing. It's brilliant. Like the guy's just like, I'm just watching it all die from up here, and he's in a Russian satellite, and it's just anyway. I'm sorry, Russian space station. But really beautiful stuff. So, but they are doing that. They do that with Fear the Walking Dead. There is a group, kind of a militia, military group that has helicopters and stuff like that. So.
I have no idea where that's going with the helicopters. That was a really interesting moment. I was just kind of sitting there watching that last week, and just like, helicopter? What is this? Was ist das? That's usually my go-to. Was ist das? I want to know. Like, tell me more.
Das ist Helikopter.
Yes.
Das ist von Pfeffenschneifer. No, I don't know. I'm sorry, anybody. Forgive us.
Pfeffenschneifer? Ja. Nein, verboten.
Ich trinke Apfelkuchen. That's all I know. Okay, so and I can't help mention here once again how much this espionage. There's 3 different ways that Negan has just taken everybody to school. I mean, he's just literally taken. He sets. He has a 3-way setup here. It's
but there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of espionage going on in the whole thing. Like Daryl and Rosita able to kidnap Eugene, where they only killed one person to get to him too. Mm-hmm. Out of nowhere, and you know what kept going through my mind though when they're walking away with Eugene? I was like, "Hello, Gabriel, through the door, Gabriel, get the guy." But I guess they don't know, Yeah. So, but a lot of things going back and forth. People trying their best to best one another is kind of what's going on in this episode. Is kind of the theme, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, and this whole scene, this whole, like, it's a famous room now. It's the fight room or the burn room or whatever it is. Someone's gonna get hurt.
Public gathering,
it's the public. But it's
always
gonna
go out there. It's like somebody's gonna get hurt.
But it's always a public gathering for someone who's gonna get killed or offed or something.
Yeah, they're never like, bring everybody to the foyer. We've got beer and pizza. It's if we're gonna bring everybody out there, there's no screening of a movie. It's like somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But yeah, this I loved how I did. This was endearing to Simon. I know, forgive me, anybody.
It was a good fight.
It was great how he totally pulls a.
Sucker punched him.
He totally. Yeah. And everybody, what?
I gotta be honest. That just seems something Simon would do.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like Negan probably was aware that it was going to happen. So it was a pretty good fight. I was pretty excited. I mean, here's the thing. I don't like Simon. And of course, you don't like Negan either. I mean, I like the actors; they're good at making you hate
but you
them.
don't like the character.
So watching either one, no, Negan, no.
Not something.
It's kind of different in the comic books. He does. I don't feel like he's. It's different when you have to read something and you hear the character's voice in your head and there's no music or cutscenes and things, and sometimes that doesn't translate well from one form to the other. But so watching them both get hurt and beat each other up, it was like, I don't know who I want to get seen beat up more. I just kind of went on one of those things where they killed each other, but unfortunately, I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Let them just both die. Let them just. This scene was crazy with Negan. Just, I'm gonna kill you. I mean, the performance was amazing. I thought it was really scary and freaky and nuts.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, Simon was actually. He was doing a pretty good job kicking the crap out of Negan, and then Negan brought it around.
I think Simon actually gotten like 5 or 6 punches first.
He got more punches.
He got a bunch, and I thought Negan was just like, what is Negan doing? Letting him win or something? Anyway, I think that's the last. Yeah,
who knows? I mean, he's playing a long game. Negan's got the long game, so it's very possible, but I don't think so. I just think he just got the upper hand on him, and it's when he kicked his legs out and knocked him to the ground and kicked him in the chest. And then Simon's kind of doing one of these things. It's like, it's all over. So, not in the face. But that's a different episode. We'll talk about that.
So anyway, and of course I didn't get the image for it, but it's the foreshadowing image, and I know it's sad I should have got it, but we just ran out of time when we were trying to get this done. So of course the next scene is you're seeing Simon turned and becoming Simon. What did you call it? The zombie?
part of the zombie wall of shame. Yeah, he's tied up on the wall. So that must mean there had to have been quite a 4 or 5 hours later for that to happen. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then but instead of seeing Dwight behind him, you're seeing Negan standing and just kind of not even paying attention.
He's just literally letting it go.
But even before then, I think. That's right, because even before then, it goes from this to Dwight getting revealed.
Yeah.
And then it goes to that scene.
Oh, yeah. There's a little bit.
Because that scene leads to. Yeah. So, yeah. It was a good fight scene, though.
Yeah. And, of course, my biggest takeaway from this episode was the fact that Dwight is not going to have... He's either... I mean, honestly, I think because of what's happening with the fake map and everything... And Negan says specifically, I'm not going to kill you. That would be too nice. That would be too much of a, giving in and giving you what that would be too honorable or whatever. And so it's like, I'm not going to kill you. You're still my number 2. You're still my number 2. And it's like, okay, so he's gonna want him under his thumb this whole time still.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, he's stuck.
That seems to be like even more of a punishment. Like, I took your wife, I burned your face. And now I know you're a traitor to us, and I'm just going to totally control you. But during this fight scene between Negan and Simon, Dwight sneaks Gregory out to send back to the hilltop with this map for this strategy that Negan's got for putting the hilltop under his thumb. He's not talking about killing them all, but he's talking about making sure that they can't get anywhere. And so it's really a trap. And so Negan set Dwight up for that whole thing. But I thought it was cool that when Negan does confront Dwight, he wasn't sure how he was going to betray him. He was kind of surprised that he sent Gregory back with the information. He's like, I thought you'd... What did he say? He's like, I thought you'd sneak out or something like that. You know what I mean? Go wander. Confronts Dwight with the girl that he picked up that was there with Dwight when Dwight had turned on the Saviors and was helping the Hilltop at the mid-season break. And Negan basically explains to him that, you got those phony plans over to the Hilltop.
Right.
And you got yourself a messenger.
Right.
Gregory's your messenger, but he was like, I didn't know how you were going to do it. I thought you would do it this way. And instead, the situation presented itself with Gregory, and that's the situation that he used.
Yeah.
So I also thought it was cool that Gregory goes back with that information, and Maggie still throws him in the pin.
That was a funny moment because you see Maggie just in her sternness that she is the whole time. She's just very stern the whole time, and she's badass. I love her. Mm-hmm. But having her walk away and looking at Gregory's face, just what's going on here? He's like this total clown.
I gave you this information. It's like that doesn't do any good, man.
Well, and once again, it's just this sad part. Big takeaway from this is Dwight is stuck. And he's just stuck under Negan's thumb again. And because of the fake map, the fake plan, all these things, they're gonna find out from somebody else, and then they're gonna think that Dwight is just not on their side anymore. Because they're gonna think Dwight gave him this fake plan to screw them over.
I hope not. I said, I want him to.
I want him to be okay too.
To survive and get to do what he wants to do.
It would be truly amazing to see him survive and actually reunited with his wife, or is she dead? Is she dead too? I can't
No, she's on the run.
Okay.
She snuck out. She got away, and Negan, I don't think bothered to send anybody after her,
which is surprising.
Which could indicate that maybe Negan he did find her and kill her, and just I wouldn't. Again, this is speculation here, but it wouldn't surprise me because it's The Walking Dead. It's no happy fun times, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Dwight survives only to find out that Negan had killed his wife. So who knows? It could go so many different ways.
Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. This has been the Fanaddicts of Film, and my name is Ben.
And I'm Joe, and as always, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed our little breakdown of this episode, and like and subscribe if you want to hear more.
Good. That's what I like to hear. See, when the time comes, and you know when it comes, I want you to remember this little talk. I want you to remember that what we've done and what we can still do together.
Nice. See, I would do it like Optimus Prime. I would do like, good. That's what I like to hear. See, when the time comes, and you will know it when it comes, I want you to remember this little talk, Megatron. I want you to remember what we've done and what we can still do together. Now, Autobots, transform and roll out.